It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Stonehouse Brewery and it's a bottle of the Prancer's Winter Porter. It's 5% ABV in a 500 milliliter black, dark brown, on its way to black bottle with a black bottle cap. Stonehouse Brewery. Now, I've had a couple of their beers before. I've actually had, I think they produce a beer called Stone the Crows. So my catchphrase, we'll get into that in a moment. Let's get the beer out first and foremost. It's from Best of British, been sent to me by bestofbritishbeer.co.uk. Look at this. Whoa, wow, wow, wow. So it's quite... What's interesting about this beer is that I've poured it, I give it quite a rigorous pour. There's no widget in the bottom of the glass here at all on this one. And I was kind of, if I'm perfectly honest, maybe because it's a winter porter, maybe they put some spices in here. That might explain it. If they put some spices in this beer, then the head will dissipate very quickly. But that's what I was getting at here. I was pouring the beer quite rigorously here, and it's almost as if it didn't want to create a head at all. And then that head disappeared quite quickly. So my best guess, my best argument, my best kind of, if I was to offer some of my experience before even sticking my nose to the beer, is that they probably use some spices, some winter spices, and that kind of, anything like that. When you start putting those kind of like spicy additions to a beer, your gingers maybe, it just stops the beer from creating a head. If it was a plain porter, if I was talking to you about a plain porter here, then I'd fully expect the beer to have a head on the glass. But it is jet black. It's a jet black beer in the glass. It looks pretty good. There's no light bleeding through this porter whatsoever, but it's not bottle conditioned. Let's get the aroma then. It doesn't smell overly spicy. It smells more kind of roasted malt, nutty, biscuity, bready. A little bit of chocolate malt coming through. It smells very good. It smells very good. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. All my memories are flooding back with this brewery. I've got a few positive things to say about this brewery once I get the first sip out of the way. Let's dive in. Now, I'm immediately looking for the spices. I'm immediately looking for those additions, and there's a part of me thinking it's just roasted malt, and there's a part of me thinking maybe they have put a little bit of kind of something in there. It is slightly kind of peppery and spicy on the back end. There's some great flavours though. It's a great beer. It's a really decent porter. It's got quite a creamy, rich mouthfeel to it. There's lots of roasted malt coming through. It's a great porter. It's a great porter. Now, whenever I drink a black beer like this, a lot of people watching the channel will probably be thinking, you know, how does it compare to Guinness? And I'd like to get this bit out of the way really quickly. Well, it knocks Guinness out of the park. This is, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give Guinness a 2, and I'd give this beer something like a 9 or a 10 if I was to compare it to Guinness. This is so much better than Guinness. Let's get that elephant out of the room, if you like, because I get lots of comments when I review a dark beer, like, oh, it looks like Guinness. Well, it might look like Guinness, but it's from a small microbrewery, handcrafted, blood, sweat and tears gone into producing this beer, and they've used kind of lots of different malts, whereas, I mean, Guinness, I've spoken to many the best people to speak to about Guinness would be brewers, older brewers. Speak to older brewers about Guinness, and they'll tell you from the 1970s, 1980s onwards, Guinness kind of went through this massive change. The recipe had changed, and it's just simply not the same beer. It's all kind of like syrups these days, to I think, on a personal level anyway. A brewer hasn't told me that. I won't go as far as saying that, but I'll go as far as saying my own experience of drinking Guinness, in case anybody from Diageo are watching, is that it's quite syrupy. It's quite sweet these days. You can tell it's not. There's not much in the way of roasted malt added to Guinness. But that's just my opinion. That is just my opinion. My opinion going back to this beer is that there is such a great level of balance between the malts in this beer and the hops in the beer, from the slightly kind of grainy malts, the lighter malts, the red malts maybe, to the roasted malts, to the hops in the beer. It's a very balanced beer. It's really good. So let's get this bit out of the way that I wanted to talk about. This kind of, so it turns out I got my phrase going, Stone the Crows, many moons ago now, 2010, and we were going to brew a beer. I was going to brew a beer with a big brewery. I think it was either Shepherd Neame or Brains, one of the big regional brewers. And I was like, oh, can we call it Stone the Crows? And they were like, they did their research and they were like, there's a brewery called Stonehouse Brewery that has a beer called Stone the Crows. Whether they've copyrighted it, whether they own that name, whether they, blah, blah, blah. They said, we're not willing to like upset anyone, because the brewery community is very tight-knit. It's very tight-knit, it's very close. We don't want to upset anyone, and we don't want to go through the court, so we don't want to, let's call it something else. So we couldn't call our beer Stone the Crows, because I think it was Stonehouse Brewery that had a beer called Stone the Crows. The other thing I wanted to mention about Stonehouse Brewery is that I actually judged around the table with Mr. Stonehouse Brewery himself. Forgive me, I can't remember his name. It was a number of years ago now. But we're in Ludlow, judging a SEBA beer event, and I'm pretty sure, 99% sure, that I judged with Mr. Stonehouse Brewery himself. So if you're watching, hello, how you doing? I've probably aged 10 years since we last seen each other. But this is good. I like it. It's really good. So described as robust and rich winter porter with dark Munich chocolate and black malt, lightly hopped with Challenger, and it's vegan friendly. They're based in Oswestry. Oh, not too far away, really. Oswestry is not too far away, really, for me. In Western Oswestry. Right, okay, so the beer is available from bestofbritishbeer.co.uk. Check out the link in the description box of the video. Great company where you can find quirky beers like this. And I love quirky beers. Looks good, smells good, tastes fantastic. I really like it. I really, really like it. It's an 8 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.